It
Sorry.
provides, that's okay. It provides our producers a way to be kind of outside of the box thinking. NRCS can help with a lot on the farm, but with our urban producers and our specialty production producers, there's a lot of new and innovative ideas everywhere, right? And like we think, oh, that's such a crazy idea. But crazy ideas, wishful thinking, unique ways to solve environmental problems is how we grow resilient agriculture systems. So CIG provides grant funding for producers that have that crazy idea that want to try to figure it out. Um, so the idea of CIG is kind of to research, right? And it's not the typical research you might think of, that someone does at a university or a professor does. But it's researching what's your idea? What does it take? What's the labor involved? What's the benefit? Is it something that we can expand on, that we can teach people? So it's kind of like getting inside the producer's head and learning all about what their idea is. And then hopefully we can gain insight to maybe make it a national practice one day. And so it is a little bit newer. It's been around for a while, but it's kind of my first time working in CIG. So I'm really excited to kind of see what possibilities come out of it this year.
That's got to be so fun to just kind of see all these ideas come in, and it's like, oh, we've never done this before. Let's see what happens. Do you have one that kind of comes to mind that's been a success?
So actually, our own Peggy Martin with SPA is like, she's a seasoned NRCS customer for us, right? For just about everything. But she's had a CIG. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but a big part of hers was focused on education and kind of doing some on-farm research with vegetable production and then disseminating her findings. So she actually created a lot of fact sheets on growing vegetables and fruits that NRCS was able to take back and provide to our staff. So that's kind of one big success story I know. But we've also been having a lot of interest for kind of the coming years of looking at deep winter greenhouses, which is super cool, right? You just bury a greenhouse halfway under the ground. And so that's kind of an example where we help with high tunnels and caterpillar tunnels, but we don't really do greenhouses. And we really don't do deep winter greenhouses. So this crazy idea of burying a greenhouse could be funded through a CIG project.
That is so exciting, and I'm sure some of our viewers are like, hey, I have this idea, I wonder if I qualify. So is there like a certain size requirement? Do you have to have a large operation to apply for these?
You don't. And when it comes to urban ag in general, we don't have size requirements, right? We don't have a revenue amount that you have to meet, which is great. It's an inclusive program. There is, however, some sidewalls with the grant, and it's mostly going to be based on how much funding there is. So we have an award ceiling and an award floor. The ceiling is $150,000. So that's the amount of money that we can give towards any one project. And then our award floor, think of that word, is 50,000. So that's the minimum that we want to see come from a project. So as long as you're in that range, CIG is a possibility for you. And then in terms of scope, like what should all be included? It varies. We want to see that you focus on the priorities that we have in South Dakota, which are soil, water, air, plants, animals, or energy. So a lot of things, right? We touch on almost all the bases there. But we also want to see that the scope of your project is focusing on development, field testing, on-farm research, demonstrations, evaluations of new and innovative technologies or practices. So really just encapsulates all those, unique ideas with the natural resource conservation.
Yeah, so you really want to just kind of tell people yes and take this money, right?
Yes, right. We love to be in the business of supporting people and making their dreams happen, right? So that's always nice about my job.
Well, and I really love, like you said, there's a floor, like there's a minimum of 50,000. It's not easy to be brand new into this industry and try to find grants that you qualify for if you don't have a set operation. So I really love that it's not limited. It's open to a lot of people. And just, since we're live, when is the deadline cutoff for this application? We might say it a few times, but
That's okay. And maybe we should say it a few times
yeah.
because we're close to coming up to our deadline. The deadline is next week, Friday, June 23rd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So by South Dakota standards, you need to have your application in by 11 p.m. or
11 p.m.
10:59 p.m. Central Time on June 23rd. So that's going to be the big deadline. So about a week. And that is still plenty of time for someone to put together an application.
That is, shout out to all the procrastinators out there. I am one.
Yes.
I am here for that. And the great part is this video is live, and so it will stay on our page. And if anybody has questions within the next week, they can come back to this video, and they can also comment below. So if you have any questions as we're talking, or even after we're talking, we will try to get them answered for you. So if you want to comment, share, just say hi to us. We're here, okay? So kind of going back to the requirements of the grant, is there a matching? Do you have to match a certain percent of your profits?
So that's a great question, because often with grants, they do have matching component. And with CIG, there is a matching component. So applicants need to have at least 50% of their total project costs matched. That can be cost sharing in contributions of cash, but that can also be services, materials, equipment, or third-party in-kind contributions. So for smaller projects, that might not have as much to put into it in terms of cash, they can get matching in other forms. I will also say too that the grant does have a bit of a focus on historically underserved. So those can be beginning farmers, tribal entities, veteran farmers, etc. And their matching is slightly decreased to roughly about 33% of a match rather than 50%. So we recognize that there's needs with certain underserved groups that we can definitely assist with.
So very inclusive. That's great.
Yeah.
That is very needed. And so I love that we have you here to go through all of this and to just have, hey, a CIG grant application, like blah, 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 blah. But no, we have a real person here to go through it and help us through the application process. So are there certain things that cannot be funded?
So there are some things in the grant process. You really outline everything that is included in your budget. And if there ever is something that shouldn't be included or a grant reviewer is unsure about, you are typically contacted. From my experience with grant reviewing, it's not kind of a, oh, there's a mistake, throw it away. We definitely try to work with somebody to make sure that they have just as many resources as everybody else. When it does come to funding funding of the grant, it's not meant for profit, right? So you don't want to be profiting off the grant. And it's also not paying for any type of management fees or paying for anything outside of the scope, right? So if you're doing a greenhouse, but you have to pay for gas, is that in the scope? Was it in the original application? Maybe that's not the greatest example, but if you say your
little materials like that count, and so when it comes to grants and materials, you really have to make sure that what you're using is what's been approved.
Yes, and you're very right, which is probably why it wasn't a good example, because you probably would allot for gas. But just like if it's really something that's not in the scope of your original project, those are things not funded. And salaries can be funded through the grant, but they do have to be reasonable to be allowable. And actually, all of the information I talk about now and as we go on can all be found in the notice of funding opportunity. So you can have this as reference, and then you can also refer to the NFO where everything is just outlined piece by piece. It's where I got a lot of my answers from, actually. Knowing good information from the NFO. And they do outline a lot of other things that can't be funded, but they're small things that I think a lot of people aren't going to be running into.
And it's, it's all unique, and everybody's journey will be different, right?
Absolutely, it will be.
Which is great. We all love our own experiences. So we're talking about this application, all this stuff. Where can we find it to apply?
Yes. So the application is going to be on grants.gov. This is kind of our go-to page for grants. Any type of grant with the USDA is kind of applied through grants.gov. So if you go into grants.gov and you just Google search CIG South Dakota, it's going to be one of the first grants that pops up. I will just mention, if you are new to grants.gov, if you've never applied for a grant through grants.gov, there are a few extra steps you have to take to register your organization. And so that's either done through obtaining a unique entity identifier or a UIE, and then registering in SAM, which is the System for Award Management. And I've not personally registered through those, but I know from others' experiences that they do take a few extra steps. There might be a day or two that you might have to wait for your UEI identifier. So always kind of try to plan for that accordingly. And they actually go through exactly what you need to do in the notice of funding agreement. And if you have never applied for grants.gov, they also have a Grants 101 course that you can take, which will give you the down and dirty, all the basics you need to know about applying for a federal grant. And that link is in the NFO as well. So I also recommend that to people just to give that added assistance in the process.
I love having a written out template of this is
yes.
what you need, this is what you need. Also, we're here to help. So we've still got a few days. If you do not have your login information or any of that, I would get on that, and so you can apply for these grants and these opportunities. And so a question that I kind of had when we were talking back, can a person apply for a CIG grant more than once with a different project?
Yes, they should be, to my knowledge. I mean, just like all of our other programs, we don't have any limits to how much you can apply. So if you get awarded a CIG this year and next year or the year after, you have another crazy cool idea, I tell people you have nothing to lose by applying, right? And everything to gain. CIGs in terms of how long they last can be from 1 year to 3 years. So you could very well have a 1-year CIG and apply for another one the next year. I always just tell people, be mindful of time, because you can plan a 1-year CIG and perhaps you might need an extension because life happened and all of a sudden you now need just an extra year, right? So it's kind of however you think life might go for you.
Well, and life does this great thing where it doesn't tell you what's going to happen, right?
It doesn't, exactly.
So say if somebody did need one of these extensions, would they reach out to their managing party from NRCS, or would they go and find an office?
Yes, so when a CIG is awarded, there's typically a point of contact that they receive within NRCS South Dakota. And so just like our agreement with SPA, you have multiple point of contacts, me being one of them. So if there was ever questions about the agreement or the grant, you'll have somebody that you can go to. And so in the case that something like an inspection or anything that might pop up, we're here to talk to you, right? We're only human. We know that things happen. So we try to work to the best of our ability to make sure that it runs smoothly and that we can accommodate as necessary.
I think you do a really good job.
Oh, thanks.
Again, our team, we have quite a few questions for Rachel that we actually like meet up monthly, just to make sure that we're being as efficient as we can be. And so the great thing I can't stress enough about NRCS is you guys have multiple programs to help producers statewide, or anyone who wants to start being more aware of our environment. And so if you're like, maybe I don't know, I might apply, let's just do it. Just do it today. The application deadline is Friday the 23rd. That's coming up. That's really quick. So if you have to compile an idea, maybe today is the day we start. But so your internet, like your internet browser will take you to the application. You can fill it out all online there. Do you have to upload any documents or any information in that regard?
Yes, so you will have to upload some documents. And within the notice of funding opportunity, they do break down what they want the application to look like. So it is a self-drafted application, but you are following a rough template that the grant requires. Everything typically has a page amount or a page limit. So you have so many pages to put your abstract and your background and your design and methods. And so it is an in-depth application process, much like all USDA grants, but they do that to ensure that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, you know what the plan is, we know what your plan is. And so kind of all the bases are covered. So it might be overwhelming at first, but a teacher once told me, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one step at a time. So do the application one step at a time. I have written out all the different parts of the application, from cover page, abstract, goals and objectives, to a budget narrative, to deliverables, to the size of your project, an action plan, etc. Right? So there's so much more, but one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Use the opportunity to really think through your project from A to Z, right? One step at a time.
Yeah, grant writing is a big process.
It's an art form.
It is an art form. It can be daunting for a lot of people, and then you add the technical aspect. So if at any point you have any issues with your grant, please reach out to somebody on the website. They have their contact information. You can email them. I believe there's a phone number as well. I'm a tech person, so I always forget about phone numbers. I'm like, don't call me, but absolutely reach out for help, ask questions. And even your community, like, ask who might even have a better idea for your plan. But one really important thing about being so thorough in the application process is, say your grant gets approved, then you already have your plan outlined, and you can just refer back to it so that this is what I was thinking. This is where I allowed it this much time and this much money, and this is who we were going to hire to help with this organizational part. And so, like, for our grant, we've got a few grants, and it's a lot. And so without our team and without asking you questions all the time, I don't know where we'd be. But
No, absolutely.
It's really great to work with you so closely. And so, does NRCS kind of have multiple offices around the state? Can you explain, for people maybe closer to tribal areas or rural, where would they go?
Yeah. So this isn't necessarily for CIG assistance, but just for general assistance. So we have offices in 99% of our counties. And I say 99% because some offices cover 2 counties, right? So previously I was working in rural Buffalo counties. Our office was located in Chamberlain, right next to the food center. So it was located in Brule. There's not one located in Buffalo, but everyone from Buffalo came to Brule, right? And so we have them all over. If you go into the South Dakota NRCS page, there's a small little search box that you can put in your county or your town, and they will tell you where the closest office is. We also have tribal offices as well that work with all of our tribes across the state. So we have designated conservationists that are specifically focused on tribal efforts. We also have range specialists, we have agronomists, we have engineers, all different types of technical experts. So we're here to serve the people. And the best part is everything we do is free, right? We have agronomists on staff that can help you with nutrient management. You're not paying us a penny to do it. We have range management specialists that can help you, right? So you walk into our office, there's really no cost to you and everything to gain if you're interested in conservation, if you're interested in learning more kind of about how USDA can help out.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And like, what other services like, oh no, just walk in and it's free. We'll help you with whatever you need. You know, who does that? No,
I know, right?
So could you kind of explain what advice you'd give to somebody applying maybe for the first time to help it go a little easier?
So, I think my biggest advice, like read the notice of funding opportunity. It's a long document. It's about 56 pages, but it's going to provide you with everything you need to know. And then the Grants 101 training, I highly recommend that as well too. And then I would just say, you have everything to gain by applying. You have nothing to lose. Maybe you lose the time that it takes you to write the grant, right? But when people talk to me about their crazy, fun, unique ideas, it's like, hey, like, what do you have to lose? Put your name in the hat, right? You can't win if your name's not in the hat. And then in terms of doing the grant, I mean, do your best. Be thorough. Think it all out from A to Z. And then you put it out there in the universe and you just hope that good things come back to you. I think that's roughly what I can say. Like, there is an extent to kind of what I can help with in terms of content and telling you what to put in and what not. But, from what I can say is, yeah, do your best, put good vibes out, you get good vibes back.
You manifest.
Yes,
right?
Manifest. Yes, yeah. I love that word.
Yes, just like with I recently had basil almost die and then it came back. So it's like, so if you feel defeated from this grant, reach out to one of us, ask a question, and then we'll help you flourish. Because that's a lot of potential money on the line,
There is. And, and I'll also add too, if a week is too short for you, if you say I can't get it by June 23rd at 10:49 p.m. Central Time, CIG is something we hope that's going to come back around. It's not really a funding source that we foresee is going to stop next year. So there's always going to be a chance every year. And maybe CIG isn't your path. Perhaps coming into our office and talking with a conservationist, perhaps our EQIT program is more your pace or just more fitting to your needs. That program is one of our most famous. It's the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So if you're looking more for cover crops and crop rotation and high tunnels and raised beds, come into our office, talk with our conservationists. Give me a call if you want. I'm very happy to contact you and eventually work your way to the field office with you. So there's so many opportunities. CIG is just one of the many that are out there.
Yeah, you do very great work. And so say a person isn't a business, would they still be able to qualify for this grant or any other things?
Yeah, so if you're not a business, you can apply as an individual. Typically with eligibility, we look for 3 types of eligibility, and that goes for grants as well as other programs we offer. And so that's going to be that you are compliant with highly erodible lands and wetlands conservation provisions. You have to be a person, a legal entity, a joint operation, an Indian tribe, or a native corporation who is engaged in agriculture production or forestry. And then you have to have control of land, right? So I tell people, you're compliant with the legal stuff. you're a person who's in agriculture, and you have some control of the land, either you're renting it or you're leasing it, you can prove it. That then is makes you eligible, right? And businesses, we do work with LLCs, with joint operations. We're venturing into working with community organizations as well. That's kind of how my role is being more incorporated into our programs, is helping more of the nonprofit organizations and how we can become more community based. Yeah, so you can be an individual, you could be a business. Businesses all kind of look a little bit different, but yes, meeting those three means that you can be eligible.
That is, I keep going back to like, you have to be a person, and I'm like, am I a people every day?
I know.
People are gonna be asking themselves while they're applying, am I a people?
Am I a person? And I will also say too, right? NRCS traditionally has been more bigger commercialized agriculture. And so when we say, you know, a person in agriculture, you think like, oh, I don't farm 1,000 acres of soybeans, or I don't run 250 cattle. But I have a small business growing vegetables, or I do value added production with wool and honeybees and flowers. Like, you are an agriculture producer as well, and you are a person in agriculture that becomes eligible for our programs.
Very important clarification.
Yes.
Because sometimes we let that imposter syndrome come by and they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. But this is your sign right now. If you haven't done this before, we are telling you, you can do it. And if you get stuck, we're here to help you. So again, that deadline is next Friday, the 23rd.
Yes.
At 10:59 p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So let's say we've got our ducks in a row. We have everything figured out. We have all of our registration. We apply, and then are we ranked a certain way? Does somebody contact us? How does that process go?
So with all USDA programs, they are competitive, especially within NRCS. We want fair and just competition for everything, to make sure that we are fair to everyone that we serve. So the grants are no different. So initially, the applications are screened for completeness and for compliance. They make sure that you have everything, that everything included is allowable. It then will go through a technical peer review panel of various people. Here in the state of South Dakota, because it's a state level CIG, many of our panelists will be within the state. So they're working with South Dakota Ag. They know what we're all about. It's not a ton of people from all over the world, right? Those people go through a technical peer review. And then in closing, the state conservationist of South Dakota, Tony Sanseri, makes the final award selection, which is based off of the recommendation of the peer review panels. And actually, again, the NFO, the Notice of Funding Agreement, it goes into much deeper depth on what the peer review panels are going to be looking for. So that is a really good thing to read and help tailor your application to what they're looking for, because it truly spells it out exactly what they're going to be ranking you on. So another great thing to read really thoroughly before applying.
Yes, it's 56 pages, but there are some pictures, okay?
Yes.
There are some pictures, it will be fun, and at the end, it's free money, okay? To help you live your dreams. And it's just so great that we have these opportunities and we can share these resources with producers, hobbyists, people who want to get into the industry, and you know, we're bettering our whole business together. So I really enjoyed that I get to work with you, with the nonprofit community, and to just build up these ideas that have been stemming for a very long time. And so we've done a few projects with you, like you had mentioned, Peggy Martin. She's kind of our rock star. She's been hosting a lot of educational opportunities. There was nutrient management this past month, and a fun root washer experience. And you were able to go to that, weren't you?
I went to the nutrient management one that she hosted. I wasn't able to attend the root, but I learned a ton. And um, I mean, I love field days, just getting out of the office, right? Because it's so easy to just stay inside on a computer. But it was also so much fun to network with different people there. Um, and I learned a lot about fertilizing tomatoes for better production and for disease control. And I was like, wow, I walked away with something new today. That's been a good day at work.
That's awesome. Have you tried to plant a tomato yet?
I
On this on the hot spot. I'm sorry.
I grew tomatoes 2 years ago, and I killed them. I killed them sadly. Um, Part of my problem was I was in between my fiance's house and mine, so the tomatoes did not get the TLC that they deserved, and they died. Um, I'm happy to say that we've bought in a house, and in the house there's actually a raised bed. And so I'm excited to start growing things. We're not fully moved in yet, so I've decided I'm not going to grow anything and then let them die again. But I am going to attempt my hand at a cover crop come August and September. I'd like to do a cover crop that I can plant. But otherwise, I'm not growing yet. And I feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? Like I'm not growing things, but I'm telling people and helping them how to grow things. Right? So yeah, one day I will have my green thumb back, I think.
You know, I have killed many plants in my life. I know a master gardener, and he every year he would just kind of show up to my house with all these plants, and I'm like, but I'm gonna kill them. I know I'm gonna kill them. And so a few of them were tomato plants, and I'm gonna tell you right now, they survived. I don't know how. I think, you know, I just had good soil, and I don't think it was me. But you know, those educational opportunities and just learning from each other, that's really what we hope to build with this urban ag grant and funding more communities. And so it was really exciting. I'm not sure if, well, not everybody made it, but the Upper Midwest Urban and Rural Ag Innovation Conference, that was such a fun time. We had so many professionals who could just speak to soil quality. They had pictures, there was pest management, all that sort of education. And so I'm excited for you in your new house, and excited to hear about your cover crops, because we've got some educational things in the works, and hopefully they will help you when you're ready for that stage.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. And I must say about the conference, actually, there were two that I really loved that came. There was a free range pig producer, and somebody who talked about berries in a high tunnel. And I really greatly enjoyed both of those presentations. So I love that the conference brings in all this types of technical knowledge about all different types of facets of ag. So lovely.
It's amazing who you can connect with. I mean, because we try to reach out to all parts of the state, and even, you know, outside of our state, to get some other knowledgeable people in to just share their research and what's worked and what's not worked. I'm one of my new life goals is to have a high tunnel, and a beautiful, like, reused window greenhouse, you know, the dream.
I love it.
So yeah, I myself, I'm looking at one of those grants. You know, it might not be this year or next year, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
You guys are always busy though. And so can you kind of tell us what you're looking forward to in the coming months?
Well, so my June and July calmed down a little bit in terms of work. I do a fair amount of traveling because I service the whole state. So I've done some traveling in the past couple of months. I'm excited to kind of slow down a little bit because in August, I have a lot more trips coming up. And then I'm also getting married in October. So there's a lot of like planning things that also are going to kind of coincide. But like I mentioned, we bought a house and we're currently painting the inside of it. And we're not moving in until the painting's done. And so yeah, right. And it's much harder than we thought, actually. We almost were going to take down popcorn ceiling. I'm so glad we didn't, because painting is enough of a task for us. But I'm really excited to be moved in by the end of the summer and to have a cheeseburger on the grill. That is like the summer goal I'm rooting for through this whole process.
Life goals.
Because yeah, we can't have a grill at the apartment we're at right now. So that's also, in case anyone at home is like, that's a weird goal. We can't grill at the moment. So we need to get into our house sooner so we can have cheeseburgers.
Well, and that's like an important life achievement. You know, I thought, okay, I can't grow anything until I'm out of this apartment or out of this rented place. But, you know, there are so many opportunities with container gardens.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been really researching YouTube. I love YouTube garden shows.
YouTube University.
Yes, my son, my 5-month-old son, like has a favorite little YouTube gardener who lives in Australia. Yeah,
awesome.
and so there are like these hacks. We want to reuse milk jugs, and then you cut them open and you leave the flap, so it's kind of like its own greenhouse, and then you put your plant in there. And this is like a cool hack to use your milk jugs or like your other water containers, and then you just put them in there and let them grow. And it's also really I would love to have enough produce to go to a farmer's market, but I don't know with our current lawns. So we're actually going to transform all of it into garden. We have 2 dogs, so we'll leave a little spot for our dogs. But once you get a house, it's nice to have that freedom of, oh, this is the lawn, I can tear it up here if I want. And so with SPA, with my job, and things that are working, you know, constantly working, this community is always trying to provide more resources, more education, and just helpful things for people to get into this industry and to help our markets grow and make sure our food is fresh and we know where it comes from and it tastes better. I'm just gonna put it out there that when you grow it yourself, it tastes better.
It does.
Yeah, but I'm so excited for you, Rachel. Like we were talking a few months ago, and you didn't have a house plan. There was no wedding plan. Like, and now it's all coming together.
Yeah. It is, right? When it rains, it pours. Is what my mom always says.
So we're gonna take this energy and we're gonna remind everybody to apply for your dream grant by next Friday, the 23rd at 10:59 Central Time PM. And if you have any questions or if anything's wrong, somebody will reach out to you. Not all hope is lost. There's a beautiful 56-page document. What is it, the FOB?
The NFO, the Notice of Funding Opportunity.
And that is really going to be a great guide. If you do struggle, there's also a grants course that you can watch and get that help with. I believe Casey has done us a solid and shared all this information in the comments. So even if you are not ready to apply for this grant this year, please save this information, keep checking USD.gov, keep going to, you know, all of our producer educations, because we share this educational opportunities, we share grant funding. If you are not a SPA member, this is your sign to sign up. We email out everything we know. So constantly having really fun, just educational interactions, workshops, farm tours, you know, what have you. And then just working with our partners at NRCS. We really like collaborating with you. So thank you again for being here, Rachel.
We love you all too. You are our first urban producer agreement, and we love you. So right back at you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Most grants and most organizations, they have a very strong list of, no, this is not what we're going to accept. This is not what we're going to even talk about. But it hasn't been like that with you. So seriously, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I don't know if my idea will pan out, these are your yes men. These are your yes people. Yes. Let's put it out there. Let's manifest. And so we'll keep updating everybody with our newsletters and our Facebook page, our social media. If you are interested, if you have questions, please reach out to either SD Specialty Producers or Rachel here. There are so many people who are just waiting to help you. get your dreams funded. And so Rachel, I can't thank you enough for being here today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
I've had so much fun, and I've honestly learned a lot. I feel empowered to apply for a grant I don't even have planned. So
yeah, I want to apply for something, but I don't know what.
I'll get to that later. I've got a week, right?
Yes, you have a week.
So even if, again, to reiterate, the CIG grant maybe doesn't fall into your specific category of what you want to do, there are other opportunities, and those are the EQUIP program. I guess we kind of gave a quick overview of that, but does that cover most of your other producers?
It does, yeah. EQUIP is one of our most well-known programs that we have. EQUIP is a cost share assistance program, so it covers roughly 50 to 75% of the cost of an activity. If you are under a historically underserved group, so a tribal entity or a beginning farmer, that cost share does go up a little bit, which is great. And a lot of our producers fall into that category. I tell people EQUIP is kind of building the foundation of your home, right? Except home is your conservation on your land. So you have to have the water tank and the fence and the high tunnel to kind of build upon and to grow your sustainability, to grow your operation. So that's kind of where we always kind of steer producers to. But we have a lot of other programs like our Conservation Reserve program, our Conservation Stewardship program. And then within USDA as a whole, there's so many opportunities. I kind of live by the motto that I don't tell somebody no without giving them alternatives. So if an NRCS program doesn't fit for you, I'm going to do my best to find some other programs out there with USDA that might be a good fit. And we have lots of resources to navigate that as well. So yeah, I urge people, Google USDA, farmers.gov. There's lots of resources out there for any type of production.
Which is needed, and we're so thankful for that. I am just so glad that, you're here to make our dreams come true.
It's what gets me up in the morning.
Yeah, that's why you go to work. It's great. It's really great that we can share these with our members, and that we have someone that we trust who can help them, find the solutions they're looking for. And a lot of people do not go above and beyond like that. So I want to thank you again for taking the time to walk us through this dreaded grant process that a lot of people might cringe at. But it's really simple. It's easy. I recommend that, we all go and take that grant course. Even if we're not going to do it this year, that would be helpful for a lot of other local grants as well. So I just want to thank you, Rachel. If there's anything else you want to add, we can let you go.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, best of luck. If there's questions along the way, I'm always here for a resource, whether they're CIG, they're EQUIP, they're, hey, I don't know what's wrong with my tomato. I'm always here to help, right? And I try to help to the best of my ability. I think if Casey can put my email in there and phone number, so people know how to contact me. And yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to future ones, right? On whatever we have in the future that come about.
We've got quite a few scheduled,
Good.
Casey and I have been working pretty tirelessly. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. We've been working at a normal, good, efficient rate this week.
Yeah, a work balanced rate. Yes. Work-life balance rate.
Yeah, the kids and everything else, we're dealing with it. But this is our fun time. Well, thank you again, Rachel. The amount of information that you've given is just unmatched. And so, again, people, next Friday, the 23rd, you've got this. You can do the deadline. There's enough time and help to get you to be successful. So we want to see your dreams come true and see how you can help grow your own business or, your starter project. And so if you need information, we are going to share that all in the comments. So you can contact Rachel, personally. And then if you need to reach out to us, just comment on our page, or you can email us as well. So Rachel, thank you for your time. We will be in touch. But yeah, I hope you enjoy your new home.
Thank
And yeah, that cheeseburger sounds really good right now too, you know?
It does.
All right, well, thank you so much. We'll talk to you
Absolutely.
later, and thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please reach out to either your NRCS office or us at Specialty Producers. We would love to help you. Bye.
See you.